Hello, welcome Khandelwal ji. How are you?
Yeah, thank you very much, Khurshid. It's nice being here with you today.
Okay, nice, nice. So, can you share a bit about your journey into the world of literature and what inspired you to become a writer? Particularly because you are into business for since very beginning.
I have mentioned this several times, and my journey is already in my first book. Uh, my daughter was admitted into school at Shimla,
Mm-hmm.
so they allowed us to meet our children once a month, Saturdays or Sundays, I don't remember. So we regularly used to visit Shimla. Now, once we went with our friends, and one of my friends used to compose, in those days, 25 years ago, a poem here and there in Hindi, right? So we were walking through the Shimla market, and there is a shop which is famous for having very rare books. And it said that even Indira Gandhi visited that bookstall when she was there sometimes in Shimla. So we
Okay,
were
okay.
there browsing over the books. And since
Mm.
my friend was into Hindi poetry,
Mm.
so I picked up a book on a fest script on Som Ranchan.
Okay.
Now, when I looked at the address, it was Solan, about 5-10 kilometers away from main Shimla. So these ladies used to get up a little late, because we had to go at 11 o'clock to the school to visit my child, my daughter. So we decided we'll get up 8 o'clock in the morning and go to Solan and find out how a poet looks like. Those are the exact words that we had in mind. So we took a taxi and went to Solan. We had nothing in our hand as an address except Dr. Somranchan, right? So we got down at the taxi stand and then we started asking about Dr. Somranchan's address and things like that. And we were not really successful. So we spent about maybe an hour or 1.5 hours trying to talk to the shopkeepers and people if they could guide us to Dr. Somranchan's residence. Then after 1.5 hours, we decided to give it up because it wasn't working. So I said, let's try one more shopkeeper, right? And we went to another shopkeeper, and he happened to be a former student of Dr. Somranchan.
Oh,
So
great.
he knew exactly where Dr. Somranchan lived. So we went to Dr. Somranchan's house and knocked. He came out, and we said we are from Agra, and we just came because we wanted to see how a poet looks like. He smiled and called us in. We had a cup of tea with him, and we stayed with him for maybe half an hour or 45 minutes or whatever. And my friend narrated one of his Hindi poems, and I narrated a poem or two probably that I had written during, when you are 18, then you tend to write something, right? So
Mm.
I narrated that.
Mm.
Now, the aura of Dr. Ranchan was so amazing that something happened. And when I came back, I wrote 4 or 5 poems, and I sent them to him. He was a very busy man, but graciously he read my poems, commented on them, and sent the envelope back to me. That started a relationship between him and me, which almost culminated in 2014 when he died. So he was the motivating force, he was the guiding force. He told me what to read, he told me what to do, and let us say, he coached me into being a poet, right?
Okay, okay,
That
okay.
that's how my journey started.
Okay, nice. It was nice journey actually, right?
Yeah, it actually started with because my daughter was not comfortable in that hostel. She would used to write an emotional letter. So I wrote a letter that, like Nehru. letter to a daughter. So I wrote a letter to my daughter in poetic form, you know. So that was the, let us say, the springboard, and the catalyst was Dr. Som Ranchan, and I think it was fate that had me meet Dr. Som Ranchan, because nowhere in my education, nowhere in my thoughts, there was ever any let's say idea that I would
Hmm.
write poetry, and then I would become a poet, and then I would reach wherever I've reached now.
Oh, so nice. So nice. That's great. So, by the way, how many books have you got published until now?
I have written about six poetry volumes.
Mm-hmm.
Then I have written three poetry volumes for children. Then I am into the process of writing, teach how to teach people to write poetry. So that's one of the
Okay.
volumes in the children's section. So that's 10, and I have written a novel. That also was Dr. Somranchan's suggestion. Because my
Okay.
poetry in the initial stages was prose style, right?
Okay.
And
Okay.
conversational style. It's still conversational style. So he thought that I should write prose.
Okay. 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 So, what kind of literature do you write more often? For example, poems or stories or prose or what?
I mostly write poetry. Okay? And what happened was, when I wrote my first volume, Conch Shells and Cowries,
Mm,
at that time I had neither the words nor the themes nor the thoughts, right? So whatever came into my mind, I penned.
mm.
Now, when that book was released, and I happened to send it to a couple of professors found from the net, right? There is a professor, creative saplings. I'm forgetting his name. Dr. Shalin. Dr. Shalin.
Okay.
Now, Dr. Shalin, after reading that first volume, Conscience and Cowries, told me that if you write another book on love poetry, he will write a book on it.
Okay.
So when you are young and somebody promises to write a book on you, that's very, very motivating. It's what you dream about. So the next volume that I wrote, then I started writing poetry, and mostly since I have had a love affair, so the thoughts, came easy to me.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I penned poems after poems after poems, and Dr. Ranchan. And once Dr. Ranchan said, "You have written so much. Why don't you publish?" I
Mm.
didn't have the idea that after writing poetry, you need to publish them also. So um, I had no idea about the system, how the system works. So in 2014, first volume was 1998,
Mm.
2014, I published two volumes, Love is a Lot of Work and A Monument to Pigeons.
Okay. 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 So, why you say that love is work a lot? Means if there is any struggle.
See, what happens is that you meet a girl, right? And you are attracted towards her, let us say.
Mm,
Correct. Now to move that process, that attraction thing, into something major, you need to work, right? You need to give her gifts, you need to meet her, you need to take her somewhere, you need to take her to pictures, and you need to do a lot of things, you just from that initial attraction phase, you
mm,
don't mature into a love story unless you work hard, right?
mm.
That is why love isn't easy. I mean, you need to put in a lot of work into it.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Like you marry, in our days, you used to get married because your parents have seen a girl, and it's a
Mm,
family affair, kind of
right.
mostly it's a family affair. So
Mm-hmm.
once you marry a girl whom
Mm,
you don't know, right? and you are wedded for life, you have both of you have to work hard to make it work. And
True.
then slowly and slowly, love creeps in into the relationship.
Hmm.
So that is why I titled it, we titled it, let us say, love is a lot of work. Love is not easy.
Right. Really, it is very means it requires lots to
It
make
requires,
it happen and move it
you will make it happen.
nicely. True, true, true. Okay, so when you talk about poetry, so what is your major format? Do you follow any format, certain type of format? Or is it rhyming scheme or is it blank verse or what?
When I started penning poetry, you must appreciate that I had absolutely no idea about literature, right? My
Hmm.
only exposure to literature was during class 11, because we were from a convent school, and we read Macbeth and David Copperfield and Bernard Shaw, Pygmalion, and that's about it, right? Not much poetry in those days. So I think I evolved as a conversationalist poet. My poetry mostly is like a conversation, right? So free verse suits me a lot.
Okay,
Now, having been in the literature field for 25 years, I strongly believe that rhyming is not for everybody.
okay.
Rhyming is very, very tough. You spoil your poetry by rhyming, right? Because then the intention is
Hmm.
not on the narrative, it's not on the flow, it's on rhyming the next line.
Hmm.
So
True.
most of the people tend to do force rhyming. Rhyming should come effortlessly. If you see the older generation people,
Hmm.
you you
Hmm.
you you think it's coming naturally. I mean, it's not put in there, right?
Correct,
So
correct.
I always suggest people who happen to take my advice, right? And now that I'm into teaching children, into composing poems, I tell them don't rhyme.
Hmm.
Rhyme is for very, very senior people who have a command on the words, they have command on their thoughts. Only those people should attempt to write rhyming poetry. Otherwise, let it
Hmm.
go.
Hmm. Actually, here I have one take. Okay. See, earlier means in olden days, our language itself was poetic. Okay, our language we used to converse in poetic style. That is the reason that a majority of religious books are in rhyming scheme only. Okay, most of them. And because of this, our language means our daily basis language was also poetic, so it used to come naturally. And now given the fact that we used to miss the poets used to read a lot, so they had very rich vocabulary list and all those things. So then it was very easy for poets to make or create rhyming scheme in their poems. But nowadays, means in language conversation style has become prose in nature, not that is not poetic in nature. And this is the first thing. And another thing is that we are not too much into vocabulary collection or vocabulary learning, right? So we use only few words in our daily life, particularly because of various reasons. Nowadays we are multilingual. Earlier people used to be to speak only in single language, so it was easy for people, right? So these are the factors, I think.
What happened was that after publishing Conch Shells and Cowries, because that was absolutely guided and edited by Dr. Som Ranjan, I happened to get a connection to Professor P. Lal, Kolkata. And
Okay.
if you know Professor P. Lal, if you are
Yes,
from
yes, I
Calcutta,
know, I know, I
then
know, I know.
most of the poets in India who are big names, right?
Hmm.
They were launched by Dr. P. Lal, Professor
Okay,
P. Lal,
okay.
right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I sent him a couple of poems, because he was friends to one of my relatives who was a professor,
Hmm.
and now he sent me a letter. Rhyming is not poetry.
mm,
ठीक है. Sanskrit poetry does not rhyme.
mm.
Just because you rhyme does not make your composition poetry.
Right,
So,
right.
for a very simple reason that I said, what happens is you can only rhyme when your vocabulary, you have a command over your vocabulary, right?
Correct,
And
correct.
rhyming should come in naturally,
Mm,
easily.
mm,
Each line should be is natural, as if like you said, it is conversational, because our language in itself is poetic,
mm.
right? So it should
Right,
come
right.
naturally. Now in the modern time, what is happening is that
Mm,
people are not giving time for editing, right?
mm, mm, mm,
I read up about a poet. He said that he edits his poetry at least 250 times. I edit my poetry at least 12, 13 times, right?
mm,
But
mm.
now what is happening? The first draft, and we are in an urgency to post it on WhatsApp or Facebook or whatever it is. We don't even give it a thought to
Mm,
polish it, do something about it, right?
mm,
So
mm,
if our aim now is to write poetry after poetry after poetry, publish it on WhatsApp, and what happens on WhatsApp is, if you have published a poem, Khurshid ji has published a poem, I may or may not read the entire poem, right? I would say excellent, very good, nice.
mm. True,
So
true.
that gives you a false, because the moment I tell you, Khurshid ji, this line doesn't fit like this, it should fit like this, my relationship with you is gone, right?
Mm,
There are very few people, your companions, or your Facebook, like my Hindi friend,
mm,
who writes in poetry, Hindi
mm,
poetry,
mm,
Anil Sharma. We
mm,
have a relationship, whether we can tell each other, right, this is not working.
mm,
But if you are in the habit of writing poetry, that gives you a false sense that whatever you're writing is good. And
mm.
that doesn't work.
Right,
That doesn't
right.
work. Because your
Mm,
intention, look, your intention is not to improve yourself. Your
mm,
intention is to pen out an output. And then
mm,
when somebody is interviewing you and me, right, then, oh, I have published 22 books.
mm,
So the focus is not on poetry. The
mm,
focus is not on your personal improvement. The focus is how many volumes have you published.
mm, mm.
You get my point?
Right, right.
And that's
So,
where the fallacy is, right?
right, right. True, true, true. So,
No interviewer, beg your pardon, would ask, Mr. Khandelwal, from the first time that you wrote to the last volume that you wrote, okay, have you found that you have improved yourself? No, nobody asks. All the people would ask is, all the people would ask, how many volumes have you published? And
mm,
graciously, I would say 20 volumes, 40 volumes, and 25
mm.
volumes. Maybe the volume, one volume is 45 pages or whatever it is, 40
Okay,
poems or
okay.
30 poems or 20 poems, right?
Mm-hmm. True, true.
So the focus today is not on the composition, it's
Mm-hmm.
not on the quality, it's of
Mm,
how much you are churning, putting it on the social media,
mm.
and getting a response. Now you
Right.
tell me, you have seen so many social media posts on poetry and whatever. Has anybody ever said that this poetry is not working?
No, no. Actually, we of late we have become habituated to listen only good things from others, particularly for writing. Okay,
Correct.
that is a big problem. So earlier, actually, just I just to give this example, like John Keats used wrote something else, and that actually one editor suggested him to change the line, like a thing of beauty is joy forever, and this line became so universal now. So, and I
Correct.
say
Correct.
that nowadays people do not ask for suggestion, do not ask for recommendation, they do not ask for even guide, whatever. So they simply say that I read a lot and that is enough, so I can write a lot. That's done. So,
That's the problem. That's the problem.
mhm.
That's the problem.
So, and now social media has created one more hasty process of doing and telling and sharing everything in a great haste, right? So just write, post, and wow, wow, great, great, thank, just that, done. The
Even my friend Anil Sharma, now he
Mhm.
would send me, let us say he would send me a poem that he has composed in Hindi at 7 o'clock, right? 7.2 minutes. He has posted it on Facebook. So I asked him one day, why did you send me the poem? For review, for my assessment, right? If you have already posted it on the Facebook, what's your urgency? First, finalize your poem, refine it, get feedback, then post it. But no, 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 no. He writes, he sends it to me for assessment, and before I can even read it and to check the WhatsApp post, he has already posted it on Facebook and the n number of the handles that he has. That's the urgency even of seasoned people.
Hmm. And that is what I'm saying, that this social media has created a haste culture, okay? So we
Here's
post everything in haste. Hmm.
the culture of getting appreciation and fast
Hmm.
appreciation.
Right.
That actually, if you're seriously into poetry writing or in any creative field,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
this fast culture of getting appreciation doesn't work, because
Hmm.
it gives you a false impression that you're good, right?
Yes,
Because
yes,
nobody is
true.
saying you're not good. Nobody is not saying that your composition is not working. Now that false feeling of appreciation is not going to increase your talent. It will not
Hmm.
make you work.
Hmm. True, true. Okay, nice. So, what themes and topics do you generally pick up for your writing? Miss, whenever you are writing, mostly.
Actually, I don't know how poets write, but uh, I don't think before that I have to write on this subject. It's mostly, let us say, that the theme picks me up. For example, yesterday I was walking down to my home. I saw a drunk on the pavement,
Mhm.
lying dead,
Hmm.
with the almost lifeless kind of a thing. Now that thought was in my mind. So when I came to office, I had some free time. I said, let's compose something on this. So I composed all that that initial thing, and then I didn't know how to end that story, right? So it took me some time to think. Okay, this I have written. Now how to end it? Then the ending came to me, because I related it to some other incident and all that sort of thing. Then yesterday, I opened my drawer to put in some money there.
Hmm.
I closed the drawer and I saw the money lying on the desk. So I said, I just put in something in my drawer. How is the money lying here? So I opened the drawer again. So instead of putting in the money, I had put in my mobile and closed the drawer. Now, this thought picked me up, right? And it said that this needs to be written on. Then I composed. Now again, you are just talking something that has just happened to you 10 minutes ago. You put in the money in the drawer, and instead you put in the thing there. And then after writing, then I'm thinking how to end this, right? Then a thought came to me. Okay, this is how you end it, and correlate the other things to the ending. So this is
Hmm.
how the societal themes, or the love themes, or the relationship, the woman relationship. I write more about women, because
Hmm.
I think they are not given a good share of respect and things in the Indian society. So when I see something and it just clings to me, and then I happen to write on them. So So mostly poetry, mostly sooner or later I relate everything to somewhere down the lane to love, and
Hmm.
that's how.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay, so you mentioned that you have written some poetry collections for children particularly. So, would you please shed some light on that, Miss, what they are, and Miss, what is the motive behind that?
Okay, I told you that the somehow the guiding force, the motivating force, or the thought provoking force has been Dr. Shalin Sisser. Now,
Hmm.
pre-corona, when we were talking to each other, he said, Rajiv ji, why don't you write some poetry on children? So I said I
Hmm.
don't have a vocabulary for children, because I was once approached by some family member who had a connection with the Chand publishers. They are big
Okay.
into
Hmm.
school books, or
Hmm.
kind of, and she
Hmm.
wanted me to write poetry for children, and Chand publishers would publish it. This was maybe 20 years ago, or whatever. I just couldn't go down to that level and write poetry, because my verbiage was very, very, let's say, literary kind of an affair.
Hmm.
So I wasn't able to pen. Now, when he gave me that idea, and it was almost during the start of the COVID, or whatever it is, and then I had closed my doors to anybody entering. The lady used to bring in food, leave it in the front door,
Okay.
go away. We would uh, pick up our food and eat. And for 4 months, we were, self, let's say, in isolation. So when he gave me that idea, so I said I still don't have the vocabulary. So what I did was that I searched the internet, and I prompted it to give me words that were used by children in the fifth class, sixth class, seventh class, eighth class, ninth class.
Okay.
So I wrote a vocabulary, right? Then, since my pre writing days, before I used to write poetry, I had faced a problem that you neither have the words in your mind, and you neither have a thought, right? So how do you write? So I decided that let me build a word bank
Hmm.
of the words that I had researched, and the word banks would be, let us say, can, pan, tan, and so on. So, so I wrote this, researched and wrote this word bank, 30 40 for 30 40 in, sin, tin, pin, can, ig, ag, suffixes.
Hmm.
So once I had that word bank, I kept staring at that word bank, and then I would pick up five, six words that you looked attractive to me.
Hmm.
So I had the rhyming words with me. I had the words from that word bank that were attracting me, and then
Hmm.
I wove a narrative on those words. So during the COVID period, that I was isolated for maybe 4 months. In
Hmm.
those 4 months, I wrote a poem a day. Sometimes for a couple of days I was not able to pen anything. Then a couple of days I was able to pen three poems a day. So during that period, I composed three volumes of poetry, 30 poems in a volume, because he told me, Dr. Charlene, that don't make it a big volume, make a small volume, 30 volumes, and small for the children. So I composed 90 poems, three volumes for there, and my grandchildren were growing up, so I wanted to leave a legacy for them about how to write poetry, because when I started I didn't know how to write poetry. So
Hmm.
that means writing poetry in my mind could be taught,
Hmm.
right? So I composed a volume which I titled Let's Crawl, and then I published that volume. It's a four volume gift set. I made it into a gift set because I was promoting it at that particular moment of time. That nowadays, if you go and buy a gift for your child or for
Hmm.
somebody, the gifts are nothing less than 1,000 bucks.
Okay. Okay.
So I made this volume, gift volume, less than 1,000 bucks. So
Hmm.
give this gift to your children or to your friends' children or
Okay.
whatever it is, because it will be lying in their shelf for a long time and you will be remembered.
Hmm.
And it is
Hmm.
something good would happen if they happen to take a poetry reading or writing. That was
Right.
the idea.
Hmm.
Then slowly and slowly the idea cropped to me that I should build a series of books on poetry writing. That's my current work. That I'm working on a 6 book set
Okay.
on teaching poetry writing.
Okay. Nice. Nice. So, and you mentioned that you received some awards and appreciations from several organizations, agencies. So, can you mention a few, just few, which actually excited you? Like, wow, I have got this.
Actually, let me be very, very frank with you. The awards that I received in India or the award that I received from abroad, where about 5,000 poets had participated, and they selected 21 poets from those 5,000 and
Hmm.
gave us an award or whatever it is. Uh, I mean, for a moment of time, that did hit your ego, but it really didn't excite me for a long time for a very simple reason that I wasn't looking for that. No, my whole thing from the first day to now has been into improving myself, right? And the best award that somebody gave me was a critic. When she read my last volume, Dwelling with Denial, and she wrote, this collection, I've written the words down. This
Hmm.
collection is undoubtedly a richer read in comparison to his previous volumes. So now, what I have been trying to achieve over 25 years, she has mentioned that with every volume, I am
Hmm.
improving my talent. You know, so
Hmm.
that's
Hmm.
the best gift. That's the best award that I could get.
Okay. Okay. Nice.
I
Nice.
am. The point is, I'm not in a let us say race with the other poets of the world. I don't want to
Hmm.
prove that I'm better than somebody else or whatever it is.
Hmm.
I am
Hmm.
trying to prove is the day I entered poetry writing and the day I am gone. Each volume has been a little better in some way or the other way. Okay, better than the previous, which means that I'm
Hmm.
coaching myself to be better and better and better, a better version of myself. That's it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Then the most example, the best award that somebody could give me was Dr. NDR Chandra.
Okay.
He called me up and he said, I want to publish a special volume on you. Look,
Okay.
there are so many poets in India. There are so many poets in India, and
Hmm.
not everybody. There are so many, let's say, critics and reviewers also in India, right?
Hmm.
Not
Hmm.
everybody knows me,
Hmm. Hmm.
but somebody calling me that he wants to write, he wants to publish an entire volume on me. That's something big.
Right. True.
Awards are not very exciting because I mean, ठीक है, okay, ठीक है.
Hmm.
एक आप
Nice.
वेल के अंदर हो, उस वेल के अंदर 5,000 लोग हैं, ठीक है, उसमें आप भी हो. आप उन 5,000 में बढ़िया हो तो ठीक है, आपको अवार्ड मिल गया, बट द वर्ल्ड इज मच बिगर दैट वेल, राइट? So these kind of things where unknown people
Hmm.
come to you and say that they want this for you, that gives you a little that you have slowly and slowly arriving at bettering yourself, where people are noticing you, your journey. That's
Okay.
the award that
Hmm.
one likes.
Now we are coming to the conclusion of our interview. So if you have anything more to share with our audience.
Uh, The only thing that I would like to share that is important to me is uh, it is given to understand by academicians that poetry writing is something that comes to you. You either have it or you don't have it, right? Now, because I'm not from the academic field, right? I can afford to not agree to that. I have been self-taught.
Mm,
I believe poetry can be taught. You see, you look at a 2 year old or 3 year old or a 4 year old boy kicking a football. Now,
mm,
sometimes when he kicks, he misses the ball,
mm,
right? And at times when he's trying to kick it straight,
mm,
it goes left or it goes right. It doesn't go to the goal that he wants to kick it to, right? Slowly and slowly, he learns to kick the football in the right
mm,
direction,
mm,
in the direction that he wants to kick. Okay. Now he could just be an ordinary footballer, or he could graduate slowly and slowly to a school level, or then to a district level, or whatever. Right.
mm,
So that's the potential he has to build himself.
mm,
But poetry writing to a certain stage can be taught. Now, how am I saying that? I took an online course free of cost for 6 months based on my first volume, Let's Crawl.
mm.
Now, neither in the starting there were 20 students from age group of 4 to about 15, 4 to
Okay.
15. Then some of them left. The earlier 4 years, 5 years, 6 years students left. But then I had some 7 year old students with me also. Uh, or maybe till class four. That's maybe age 8 or 9 or something like that. So neither when they joined me, they didn't know they could write poetry, and their parents had absolutely no idea that they could write poetry. And through the process that I had designed in a period of 6 months, five students from the batch had their poetry published in literary journals of India, major literary journals of India, and they wrote poems on alphabet poems and keyboard poems and something that people normally don't write, no, and because it's a bit difficult to write, but they were able to do that. They were able to pen acrostic poems for their father's birthday or mother's birthday or whatever they were able to do that.
Mm,
So
mm,
that level of coaching can be easily done.
mm,
Now, whether the child gets into it and becomes a better poet or kind of a thing, it comes later. So, a
mm,
certain level of poetry writing can be taught. I mean, it's not because
mm.
I self-taught myself. I think it can be taught to other things. So that's an interesting concept that I'm taking forward, and I have about 6 books planned. Like I said, in that segment. And the last volume that I would be planning to write is Let's Marathon. I mean, the titles go like this: Let's Crawl, that I've already penned. Let's walk, let's stroll, let's stride, let's run, let's marathon. Now, let's marathon is the volume for people like me,
Mm,
right? Who need to understand more. We talk about phonetics, we talk about prosody, and when we talk
mm,
about advanced alliteration and all that sort of stuff,
mm,
kind of an
mm,
affair. So it will actually be teaching people right from the beginning to the mature levels of. To levels like where I have reached, kind of an affair, and I haven't reached. I mean, I need to reach those levels too. So, so,
okay.
so that's a pet project with me right
Okay, nice. I hope you bring out those books sooner. Okay. And please send me a few books, particularly for children, because we do review and all those things, so we can do that.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Hmm. Okay.
I've also written a novel,
Hmm.
titled The Summer Spring. So that's also an interesting story because Dr. Renchen told me that write a novel. So I said, I don't have a thought. I mean, how do I write? I don't have any, content in mind. So he said, you have a joint family, you are business people, write on that. Write
Hmm.
your own biography kind of an affair. So I wrote the whatever I had to write, I wrote it
Hmm.
in 50 pages. I had absolutely no idea how to go further.
Hmm.
Then he said, okay, add this here, add this here, add this here, and it culminated finally when published. It was 225 pages. I sat on that novel for 15 years. Why I am telling you this is that if you want to publish your work, once published is published. You can't bring it back.
Hmm.
So once you publish, your output has to be the perfect that you can do at that particular moment of time, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
So I had written, Dr. Somranchan had said that this is perfect, send it for publication. For somewhere deep down, I was not very satisfied with the work because I myself couldn't pick up the first page and read till the end in one go.
Hmm.
Then I met another mentor recently, 4 or 5 years
Hmm.
ago.
Hmm. Hmm.
She was an expert editor. I mean, amazing. She had a look at that novel and she tweaked the word here, a sentence there, and suddenly the novel was very, very attractive to read, readable, and all this sort of stuff. And then I published it. 15 years of
Hmm.
wait. So
Hmm.
I can't understand
Hmm.
people, like I said
Hmm.
earlier, who have that mentality of writing, publishing,
Hmm.
writing, publishing, writing, publishing, either on
Hmm.
on on social media or on hard copies. I can't personally I can't understand.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay, okay.
that's that's life with me. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So it was nice talking with you. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you so much.
to
Thank you so much. Thank
grace
you so much.
my channel.
Thank you, Kurshid ji, for your time. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Okay.